and this is Scoutadelic, and welcome to today's Telfer's Tasty Tuesdays. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make some scones or scones, depending on what part of the world or country you're in. I'm going to be making a cherry scone, but you can put whatever you want in it, and we'll talk about that when we get into it in a little bit. But without further ado, let me show you what ingredients you're going to need. Okay then, let's go through all the different stuff that you're going to need for this recipe, ingredients and the equipment. So we're going to need an oven today. Obviously, if you can use a cardboard oven outside, if you want to work on your camp gadget skills, or just a normal oven will be good. You're going to need a cutter. This is a 6cm cutter. Okay, but you can make whatever size you want, depending on how big the cutter is or how much the mixture will make. So using the 6cm one, it'll probably make about 20 scones, near enough. Okay, you're going to need 450 grams of self-raising flour. Alright. You're going to need 2 rounded teaspoons of baking powder. You're going to need 50 grams of caster sugar. You're going to need 2 eggs, beaten lightly. You're going to need 225 millilitres of milk, and you're going to need 75 grams of softened butter. Now, if the weather's anything like it is where you are, where it is here at the moment, which is quite hot for the UK, the softening butter is no problem, so you just leave it out on the side for a little bit. And that's it. I'm going to make cherry scones, as I said, so I've got about half a dozen glazed glacé cherries that I've just chopped into small bits. Okay. Now we will combine all of these to make some awesome looking scones at the end of it. So without further ado, let's have a look at what we need to do next. Okay, so hopefully you'll have a good view of what I'm doing and where. So I'm going to start off, as I said, with our flour in the bowl, obviously making sure we've washed our hands. Then we're going to add the 2 teaspoons of baking powder, just give it that extra lift and round it off at the top. Okay, and then we are going to put our butter in here. Now mine's melted a little bit too much, but it should be nice and soft. Pop that in your butter. This is where we get messy. It's the fun bit of baking. So now we need to mix the flour and the butter together until it resembles breadcrumbs. So we need to rub it all the way through. Okay, so just rubbing it between your fingers until we get what looks like breadcrumbs. All right, so. So you can see it's just starting to come together. And what we're going to do now is we're going to sprinkle our sugar in and mix that well up as well. Okay, so making sure it all goes round. Awesome. Fab. So I've got a bowl of breadcrumbs now. Okay, so I had a quick clean up, now back. So this bit we're going to look at adding our milk and our eggs. Okay, so you need to get your 2 eggs together and whisk them together so they're all nicely mixed like that. Okay, and when we've done that, we're going to add it to our 225 millilitres of milk. Okay, so add that together, give that a bit of a swirl round, make sure it's mixed. Excellent. So it should make about 300 millilitres. Okay, so just double check that. If it's a bit less because your eggs are a little bit smaller or whatever, it doesn't matter, just top it up with a bit of milk till you get to the 300. And then, and this is why we mixed it, going to save a couple of tablespoons of the mixture. This is to glaze our scones with at the end. Okay, 2 in a bit. Okay. So I'm going to keep that to one side for later, so we give them that nice finish. Okay, so another messy bit. What we're going to do is we're going to gradually add this egg mixture. So I'm going to make a bit of a hole in the middle there. I'm just going to add it bit by bit. I'm going to mix it into a dough. Okay, so it's going to be messier than the next bit, but gradually add it. Okay, so you should end up with a dough a little bit like this. So it should still be a little bit sticky and stick to your fingers. That will make it a nice and help it rise apparently. Okay, so I've got all of that in there. So what I need to do is one I prepared earlier. I'm going to make sure we have a lightly floured surface. So I'm going to put our dough onto this. I'm also going to need a rolling pin. Make sure it's got a nice bit of flour on it. So turn that out onto that. Fab. So I should have my nice kind of dough mix. Now, as I said, I'm going to make some cherry scones. So this is the point. I'm going to just put them into this. I like doing this just by kneading it in a little bit, little by little at the end. Oops. Okay, so trying to get them distributed. There we go. So I'm not putting a load of cherries in, and if you prefer you can use raisins, any dry fruit or fresh fruit. Bear in mind, if you're going to put fresh fruit in, it's going to release some juice, so it will make it even stickier. So you do have to be aware of that, but it should be good. And that's just kind of mixed in there now. Excellent. So we have our floured surface. We've got our dough. Now we need to roll it out. So we need to roll it out so it is about, I don't know, about 2 centimetre kind of thick. And that's just so you get a nice good rise on it. Okay, I like to just make sure it's not sticking to the bottom, move it around a little bit in between each roll. So we're going to re-roll this in between. So don't worry about thinking, oh, I'm not going to fit all my scones out of this. You will. We just re-roll it and re-knead it together in between. Okay. There we go. Not perfect, but brilliant. So we've got here, and from here we're going to start making this. So before we start cutting things out, we need to make sure we've got our trays ready. So you can see I've got my trays ready. I've got actually silicone mats which I can reuse, so it stops whatever you're cooking sticking to the tray. They're quite nifty. If you haven't got that, you can either put a layer of baking parchment down, or you can just lightly grease it with some butter or oil, just so it makes it nice and easy to get off. But I love these mats because you can reuse them again and again. So make sure you've got a couple of those standing by. And now we are going to have a go at stamping out our scones. So I'm going to be using the fluted edge. Gives it a really nice finish and it gives it that classic sort of scone shape. Now the important thing when you stamp this down is it's very tempting to put it down and then twist it to make sure it comes out. And the problem with that is it can affect the edges and how it rises, so that they rise up, so it might affect the way it looks. But all you need to do is, so I push down, and then I might just break the, yeah, you can see, awesome, from there, and then just put it away. And then, hopefully, yeah, pops out. Excellent. And one prepared scone ready. So then just go through and do that for all of your dough. So let's go. Okay, so I've cut out about 12 different ones, all nice and neat on my tray here, as you can see. As I said, makes about 20. With the rest left over, you can knead it back together, just gently, because we don't want to handle it too much, because that makes our scones really tough. You can just reflour, roll it out again, and keep measuring it, okay? Just for now though, I'm gonna leave it there and just show you with those two. So once you've got all your trays of scones ready, and you might have to batch cook them in 2s and 3s of trays, we're gonna, if you've got a fan oven, you need to put it on 200 to warm up. Any other oven, 220. And they're gonna go. Okay, so my scones have had 15 minutes in, and golden brown have risen, looking good. So what I'm gonna do is transfer them to the wire rack. Ooh, careful, because they're very hot. While these were baking, I rolled out the rest of my mixture. And I've made about 20 all in all with that size ones, and then a little bit left over. Look at these, great colouring. See how I've just cooked them till they've just gone golden. Some are a little bit darker than others just because of the way the oven fits, but here we go. Cherry scones. Now I let them cool down a bit, and then you can serve them cut in half with a little bit of butter or a bit of jam and a bit of cream on top, whichever way round you want to put them, depending on what part of Devon, Cornwall you're from. I'm not going to start that argument now, but they're just nice. Nice and easy to do. Look really nice for an afternoon treat for you and family and friends, but just generally very nice. There are loads of different scone recipes out there as well. So the savoury, you can make some really nice cheese scones. You can make scone rings. There's loads of different ones. So get out there and have a little bit of a play and see what you like. That's the thing with baking. I've just taken a basic recipe, and I just like to play with it and add different things in and see what goes with your taste. But yeah, that is this week's Telfer's Tasty Tuesdays. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe and click that bell. And if you found this interesting, or any of Scoutadelic's videos interesting, share them with another friend. Doesn't matter if they're a Scout or not. Let them go out and try something new and have a bit of fun. Keep being awesome, everybody, and be a little bit Scoutadelic.